about the parable of the 10 virgins. Okay, the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 that were foolish and 5 that were wise and had the proper amount of oil. Okay. Now some have made there's a lot to be said about this, but they were heading to the wedding feast. They were heading to the wedding feast. The 5 that had oil in their lamps were able to go in. Now remember, the 5 foolish ones got some more oil and went to the wedding feast. But what happened?
The oil was sold. The price was going to rise.
Exactly. So I think that's a depiction of the marriage supper of the Lamb. The marriage supper of the Lamb. When God comes down for His church, those that are true Christians will be taken up. Now there'll be people that get saved just immediately after the rapture.
And the Holy Spirit will involve
and no person. And see, the thing that I know that John 14:6 and other scriptures talk about the Holy Spirit in the millennial kingdom and the Great Tribulation, and it says that the Holy Spirit will be with us forever in John 14:16. But aside from all that, how could anybody come to know Christ without the Holy Spirit?
Christ must. Even 144,000 and the saints that will be headed during the tribulation.
Nobody can come to the truth. Nobody could obey the truth except by the Holy Spirit.
It's a complete work of Jesus is Lord without the Holy Spirit.
So there's no
anybody that becomes a Christian, the Holy Spirit is going to indwell.
Yeah.
So even though I want to say that the Holy Spirit and God is the restrainer of lawlessness, I can't believe that the Holy Spirit is taken away, because not only scripturally, but it just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know that the argument would be that he's taken away, but that he no longer restrains, that he's set up apart from him, because there's a couple things that I would consider. First off, Saul, that the Holy Spirit was taken from him, and he could never obtain it again. And the second one would be people that are given over to a reprobate mind, who no longer have that conscience within them to draw them to God.
Let's not forget David in Psalm 51.
Right, I was going to say
Take not the Holy Spirit from me.
Yeah.
So, not that the Holy Spirit is not on this earth, but the Holy Spirit is not. He is not calling to the soul at that time to let that lawlessness come forth, because really, what is lawlessness? It is the conscience of men. Where does that conscience come from? It comes from the Holy Spirit, from God. So, what restrains us on this earth from being completely lawless, completely fearless of God, completely in His face, it's our conscience. It's because the Holy Spirit, whether we know it or not, even when we aren't saved, is speaking to us.
And so we get back to what I said earlier. Then we need to come up with a definition of what it means to be taken away, taken out.
Taken out of the way.
Yes. Does it mean removed, or does it mean to step aside? Because that's really what you're saying, Brian, is that the Holy Spirit really is just stepping aside.
That's what I think.
And that's what people say.
Well, I'm looking at the Greek on that one. Now I know both the King James and the New American Standard say until he is taken out of the way. But looking at this, I don't see a word for taken anywhere in this text. The Greek word, of course, is different than the English, but it looks to me like it says only the restraining just now until it comes out of the midst. That makes it more sound like he's not being taken out of the way, but that he comes out of the way.
Yeah, that's
as you were saying, yeah, he voluntarily steps aside rather than the way this other language appears to say that somebody's going to remove it.
Yeah.
There's going to be a transitional period between the rapture and when this takes place. And we need to, when this takes place, the Holy Spirit's just going to say, hey, that's where you want to live. See what happens.
Anybody got a version that says something different there at the end of verse 7?
Well, from what I get from that is that it says it's going to be out from the midst. It's not going to be present.
Well, if you look at the Strong's for taken, it's kind of interesting because it says to become, to come into existence, begin to be, receive being, to come to pass, happen of events. So that sounds like.
Then what about out?
Okay, let me look at this. Out of is the next one.
Yeah,
That's from, by, away from.
So away from. So again,
what Greek word do they say taken is? So we're just looking at it.
It is, let's see, G1096, Genomai, G-I-N-O-M-I, or A-I.
So, I don't see any, well, that must be the word that they translate here, it come.
So how would you put those two words together then?
So then there again it means taken out of the midst.
Well, let's see what the way is.
So how do we
Middle. The way is mesos, which means middle. So taken out of the middle.
In the midst or middle?
Yeah. So that would almost indicate, the person that's between God and man, interceding for man.
Is taken out of the midst. There's the other thing. What's the context of the chapter? What is this all about? What is this chapter about? What is the book about? What is both books about? First, Second Thessalonians. It's about the rapture of the church.
I don't think, it says he'll come from heaven with a shout, the trump of an angel, dead in Christ will rise first, and we who are alive shall rise. I believe that they'll see him. I don't think we're just going to disappear out of our cars and the next door neighbor disappears. I think the Lord is going to show himself, remove his saints, and then after that, as it says, when he pours out the bowls, that men shall curse him and blaspheme because of the things that are coming upon him, and other men will run and hide in their rocks and in the mountains and stuff, try and get away from him who's on the throne. So I think they'll see him when it happens, and then that's why they shake their fist at him and try to hide from the face of him who's on the throne.
But it says it's going to happen. It's going to happen in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye.
Right.
Now they have actually measured how long it takes for an eye to twinkle.
1,000 to a second or something like that?
6,000.
Also says, Jesus said that the Son of Man shall come as lightning flashes across the sky. But whether or not, that doesn't mean that people won't see it.
Well, he comes with a shout, so a shout and a trumpet.
That's pretty loud, isn't
So
it?
that's where people have taken the thief in the night, beyond context. It will be unexpected like the thief.
Unexpected,
But once it happens, like you say, it will be noisy, it will be clearly known.
I don't think so, because the only time that Jesus talks about the entire world seeing him is in the second coming. That's the only time Jesus
Why are we
talks.
talking with a shout? A shout's a shout.
Who says that he can't shout just to his
Yeah.
Not just to the believers, just to the
Yeah.
devil.
I mean, it's something to think about.
When he talked to the Israelite children at the bottom of that mountain, when God talked, it sounded like trumpets.
Trumpets and thunder.
Yes. When he speaks.
And people have already heard things like that in the earth. We know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing is it says that if we look at what it says about that day, that two will be working in the field, one will be gone. Two will be sleeping in the bed, one will be gone. It gives you the indication that they're just no longer there again. But
Disappear.
Remember, in that instant, we'll be given a glorified body.
like I say, it'll be confusion, mass confusion when it happens.
Yeah.
But the world is going to come up with an explanation. They're going to have to.
Sure.
Aliens, nuclear,
The world won't
fusion.
necessarily see me.
I think that's an accurate assumption.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Because they're already dwelling on too much on aliens and stuff right now.
Well, they can't.
And who's pushing that? The Roman Catholic
Yeah.
Who on earth is going to be left behind is going to want to admit that they missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just look what the Pope just said about aliens just during the last year.
What
He
did he
said, he said that if they come down here, he'll baptize them.
Did he really say that?
Yes, unless they're superior and they actually may be the Messiah.
And he said that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a
I want to see that.
they're supposed to be brothers.
Yeah, there's a famous Christian author who will tell you that UFOs are real.
I saw him on television. It's further evidence, it's called.
No,
Bill Clinton?
no, John Hagee. But it's definition form. In the Bible it says that there'll be strange sights in the stars and the sky and the moon, strange signs. I believe they're demonic manifestations.
Oh, I think so too. I think it's just to draw people away from God.
No, absolutely. Barb?
Now, to the rapture, from my understanding, everybody thinks it's going to be a beautiful thing and will just automatically go up. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know it all. But I think, there's going to be blood and guts, there's going to be fights, there's going to be all that. Prior, am I right? Or
Oh yeah.
After the rapture.
They're happening right now.
Right.
Look at. I'm sure there's Christians all over the world that are wishing that the rapture would take place so they wouldn't have to endure such pain and suffering.
Think of this. Rapture happens, and children are innocent in God's eyes. What do you think is going to happen when people start missing their children?
All the children will be gone.
The things that are taking place down in this area, how they're writing, stories and that. I think that's like a taste of what is going to take place later on. We're just getting a taste of that.
The biggest thing with blood and guts is going to be the second coming of Christ, because He will merely speak the word, and people are going to die in this field. They're going to fill the valley of Megiddo
with blood.
with blood up to a horse's bridle.
Yep, it talks to
This deep. But that's not the rapture. That's the second coming. It's two different things.
He's even now with ISIS.
For the Christians,
reporter.
the rapture is going to be a glorious thing. For non-Christians, it's going to be a nightmare.
That's what I was talking about. What people they're redefining God's character. They're doing a character assassination of God right now, because they picture God as this non-judgmental, always loving, doesn't send anybody to hell kind of God. And if you read any part of Revelation, you'll soon discover that God is a very judgmental, very jealous God.
In the Old Testament.
Yeah, and the only people that escape His wrath